Hello, hello, hello. My name is PK. Let's see, and I return once more. Anyways, so I've downloaded all the maps, and I'm gonna go from the category to category. So I guess we're gonna start with Biosphere. But basically, the idea of this is so I will study these maps so I can learn something I need to do better. I know that Project Simulant was really good, but it just didn't get enough games played on it. But I have a revision and some edits needed to do. My God. -0. Don't do this. Come on. Anyways. So you got Biosphere, aka the map of a 69. Don't forget that. So this is a standard map that, well, it's quite simple. You span, actually I think it's easier if I go to units. You span this direction, then your expansion pattern will go like this. And then you'll take this space. The problem with this expansion pattern is that once you take this space, you're very close to the other player. So this is good, but this space is very risky. Saying that, you also have debris here to this space, which this player will take, and this debris protects it. The thing is that if this debris is taken down, this player would just expand there, and then, well, you have problems. Look at this cliff. What cliff did he use here? -0 likes his cliffs. He used... Okay, so it's a platform cliff. Good to know. Let's lower that. So looking at this map, I think it's best we start with the siege tanks. Before we go to the siege tanks, let's... Oh yeah, that's on map edge. Right there is map edge. So liberator problems are certainly non-existent. He did his catalyst first 3 bases, main, nat, standard, separation, third. And something newer map makers I've noticed don't really do, but -0's fault, is that you can have one gas siegeable. Right here though, he does make it so you can siege one gas. So that's good. Because it gives the Terran an option, but you cannot pin back down the base. If this can move any further, it would be a problem basically. So I'm just gonna leave the tanks there and move onwards. So chokes, I measure by evil chambers just because. But the natural choke is very much 3 evil chambers with a hatchery. Yep. I'm just going to place hatchery at the first 3 bases and take out a creep tumor. So if he did his design correctly, yep, 1 and 1/2 tumors and 1 tumor. Good. So from here, okay. So first 3 bases, what I'm learning here that I kind of go against still, but I know, is that you don't need an alternative third. I favor the alternative third, especially in standard maps, as I like giving people choices. Saying that, also for third bases, I give too much space or not enough space. In this stance, okay, so the amount of space leading into the third is enough to make a wall. Any bigger, it's not safe. Any smaller, it's favor turtling. So let's just put it. This should be 2 tumors away. Creep. Yep. Oh, alright. And obviously up here is certainly 2 tumors away. So all expansions beyond the natural is connected by 2 tumors. Except for this expansion, which is connected by 3 tumors, including one coming on the net. I don't like this rock texture, but okay. I'm not here to critique his deco. He's been doing this longer than I have, so my deco is typically better in stances. What's this? Oh. Cool. Alright. Yes. I need to nuke Steam. So, with siege tanks, let's just start placing a tank collection. Zanglin, I already know about those numbers. They don't provide an answer. But okay, get rid of that. So, if a Terran tries to do a tank push, their actual letters, yes, also that. Anyways, so if a tank tries, okay, this actually helps me a bit. You want to design the basis so if a Terran tries to do a tank push, entrenching themselves behind debris like this, or area like this, maybe even pushing down here, protection of this helps it more. The Terran will not be able to effectively get to your nat without you being able to stop them. If you expand to here, this base is forfeit, but that is more of a late game base than early game base. But coming up this ramp, due to the fact that there's enough space here, and a choked ramp here, you can effectively engage it as Zerg. Protoss can just make zealots and be somewhat fine, but a Terran tank pushing a Protoss player is, it's not gonna happen. Not that much to learn from this map. Just open pathways, which is a standard. A bridge that is choked in center. -0, frickin' refusing to just put anything to make it look like the bridge is safely designed instead of flipping, having sand going over it, but neither there here or there. But I guess that's all. So what's the next standard map? Earthrise, right? Gonna open up Earthrise anyways. Yep, this is standard. Alright, welcome to the moon. Alright. So this is another example of you don't need to have multiple set expansions. Though, this map does not seem that great for Zerg, expansion-wise. Since there's no horizontal expansion with this, I see a very clear problem. A Zerg will be forced to expand like this, because if they take the low ground, a Terran can just siege up here and they lose a third. But with this, a Terran can ping-pong between these two bases quite quickly, and a Zerg will be helpless against it. But that is not the only concern I see here. The nat wall is perfectly fine, though I'm not fully content on it. But yeah, it works. And this is It should be 2 tumors away. It can't, if it's too close, I guess it's fine. Yeah, 2 tumors away. It's practically one, and down here is the same. Okay. I'm seeing this a lot more. So these Zelnaga towers cover vital information. Mostly this space, but also a lengthy amount of middle. In a part that you will most likely see someone moving. With that, oh, interesting. So this map invokes vertical expansion, which I should get used to. I'm used to making players expand horizontally and somewhat vertically, or to expand to the whole corner of the map. But in this stance, all races will expand to this bottom corner, no matter what. This expansion here probably not going to be taken or be constantly fought over, because the player here would either A, take it as their own, especially if they're Zerg, so they can pressure these 3 bases effectively, or in a stance a Terran would take it and defend this whole area with the watchtower under their control, leaving the Zerg unable to come in from here without destroying it unseen and also engaging from all directions. But there's not much to learn from this map, just very solid design. Siege positions that are not bad. I fear a siege tank behind here. Give me a moment. The siege tank should not be able to, okay, yeah, okay, I was gonna say. Okay, that's not a problem either way. If a siege tank could hide behind there though, without the dude that is blocking pathing, a Terran can push into here and they'd be unstoppable. Good thing Super Omen sought ahead of this with his impregnable design. Well then, that's all of that. I think this is standard. I'm gonna take a long sip if I'm wrong. Yep, standard. Good. Alright, Maris. Someone whose design impresses me and surpasses me near instantly. With decoration I am jealous of? I mean, I opened up her map to see this and I took inspiration to it. What was that map's name? I actually forgot. It's not that memorable. Cyrophia's Regrowth. There we go. I took idea to that with Cyrophia's Regrowth while also making semi-medieval walls. Okay, back to Blizzard. But we're not here to over design. Oh no. Okay, I just need to do something. How far are we from the map border? We're against it. So, I see instant problem with this main. Oh, that's not good. Now, I'm here studying the maps, but I'm also providing my own feedback. Because since I am an experienced mapmaker, I've been around long enough so I know what I'm talking about. I'm just not good at executing what I'm talking about. But there's the cannon rush spot right here. And that cannon can hit that base right there. So this is not fun against Terran. Well, a Terran is not going to have fun there. Actually, stance. Once they get that up, they can also get like a gateway over here. More cannons. Oh, this is a disaster. Okay, bye. Maris! Use pathing cliffs! When you have stuff like this. Come on! I'm fixing your error. So I don't freaking get salty that you don't use an amazing tool. Even more when you made the areas unpathable, but to be safe, you should also freaking add unpathable blockers on the cliffs. So Reapers don't somehow glitch themselves in. There we go, I fixed your error. Alright, beyond just rudely just inserting pathing cliffs. So we have a cannon rush spot. A bad one as well. Okay. This is the natural doesn't have that bad of a cannon rush spot, which is great. Which means that if you just if they take your main, if you could go to natural, remove this, and lock them in your main. But you can't use these mineral nodes, but you can move further because these bases don't have such a problem. I mean, up here cannons might shoot down. But I'm gonna leave the cannon rush there. So, okay. Sure. Those are the important expansions. Creep blocker. Yeah. Okay. This is too close. But it's also acceptable at the same time. The reason why this is too close is that as a Zerg player does not need a tumor to protect their natural of queens. Or protect their main of queens. Basically, you make the Zerg more powerful because they do not need a tumor towards their expansion. 2 tumors to both of these, which is normal. But since this is not a little bit out, it's fine, but in theory, you would push this a bit up, which would probably choke that more. But there's problems. Also, that doesn't have anything, so it looks like you drop a marine on it. Same with that. These pillars look like you can drop something up on it. Because a unit can stand on 1x1 pillars. They're not 1x1. They're technically 4x4, but a unit can stand on this. So in theory, people would think, oh, my Reaper could jump up there. But no, it's an Obi-Pod. Range is prevalent between each base, even though this one doesn't have it. But since this is close, I mean, it's acceptable, but since it's close, you run into a situation where this map will favor Zerg a bit. Because they can effectively hold and defend all of their bases for 1 less tumor. which is a lot. Because they could spread their creep out further than their main. Like, a Zerg would be able to effectively move further out faster due to the fact that they don't have to put their first tumor in the main. They could put it at the natural. Which, that is not a problem, but I often would say don't do that, but neither here or there. So away from Zerg, we gotta go to Terran. So the first site is, how siegeable is the natural? The answer is not at all. You can barely hit that geyser from here, which is perfectly fine. This is I know this is a wall because that looks like it and I don't want to move the tumor. So this map is very much like Catalyst. With difference. And that's mostly due to this middle. I can see a Terran basically pushing out of here. Not just those stuff, but sieging up this area to plan on taking here. Away from a Zerg. But relatively speaking, Terran does not get any powerful spots. Like, maybe I can place a tank there. And it would have threatened, yeah, it would threaten that base. Which is perfectly fine. This base is a little bit vulnerable to tanks, but it's far enough away that it's not a problem. Yeah. There's not much I can learn from this map. It's just standard design that you'll learn from Catalyst. Solid, nonetheless. Alright. Nightshade. No. So is Bowsbeard. Yeah, this map. I think Nightshade also. No, Nightshade's macro. Right? Alright. Another -0 map. With this tile set. So it's just a high-rise city. That's cyber. Bring it on, -0. I accept your worthy challenge. But this time, -0 provides alternate thirds and sense of expansion. So in theory, a Terran can expand here. This base would be too risky. Because a Zerg, for example, will span downwards, then span over here. Or span downwards and reach out to this base. But if they take that base, they'll instantly want to take this base, which threatens the Terran. But if they span like this and take... nobody would want to take this base. If Zerg is going down here and a Terran expands to here, that is a straight line from the natural. That Terran will have to siege defend here. But this base is basically a base where Terran can't effectively hold it. I would say there would need to be debris here to choke it up. And that's something we can learn off of. When you see a large ramp leading into a very vulnerable base due to the distance between one player's main and the other player's main, that's when you warrant debris. That's when you defend a far base with debris, because you want players to take the base. You don't want winner bases or bases that favor a player who is doing something that can make them defend it against all odds. Because then you get to a stance where a turtle can effectively hold down all of these areas, prevent anyone from taking the space besides themselves, and secure them. And since these ramps are small most parts besides here, it's easy to do. Nothing wrong with it. Shame he didn't. Okay. I like the bridge. Beyond that, the main is interesting. I know he loves... I like that he's stepping up his deco, because normally his deco is just space. With little or much effort. And it looks good. That Reaper cliff is a bit awkward looking, and it's very big. That's 3 depots to block off, like, right? Likely. Might be 3 depots at engineering bay. But everything looks fine. Not sure I'm going to learn much from this map, just stuff to talk about. I'm going to hop on to... Nightshade. Doesn't give me anything. So, alright, this is a dark but also colorful map. One thing I'm against is the sand. That sand does not work. At all. And I'll give a straight reason why. It doesn't look like sand. Properly. It's not acting like dunes. It's splitting off randomly and it doesn't look good. Same with this grass. It doesn't work with the height maps and normal maps. But I'm not here to critique deco. Though if such was heard, that'd be great. I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube probably tonight anyways. And probably call learning and also feedback. Anyways. Ooh, actually, ooh. Hatchery. I might have once upon a time said I like this deco, but again, my taste changes very rapidly once I get better at deco. Much like once I get better at RTS design, I get saltier at other RTSs that fail to do common sense. Okay. Okay, that's good. That is good. So that main is not that vulnerable. It can defend. A Terran can defend their third, much like a Terran can defend their third on Cyberforce from the main using siege tanks, which is often good in stances because a tank like this is a very good tank ledge. Tanks can hold off this entire area and protect all these bases. Along with that, I know this for sure, but tanks cannot threaten this hatchery from this. If they could, that would be a massive problem, but... Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. I mean, it's far enough away from the other natural to be viable, but oh god. Yet like a tank, maybe a second tank up here, a couple marines. Two marauders. No, a couple marauders. Welcome back to the Marine Tank! I'll explain why this is a problem. This siege tank here can cover this squad of Marines. And also threaten the hatchery. So in theory, if a Terran gets this position up, they will be able to protect these Marines killing the hatchery or threatening any units coming around, and they will take that natural hatchery, which harms they need their nat. Unless they're cheesing. This tank here protects half of this squad, and this entire squad, which is bent to protect this tank. Basically ensuring this goes down. From there, this tank can move closer to this, can move over to here to threaten that, and this tank can also move up. And as you can precisely probably guess, this Marine squad can just move up via medevac. And this Marine squad can probably go and take down the third. Now, a Zerg wants to take this third because a Terran can't effectively drop, but in stance, this third would probably be neutralized already. But suddenly you realize what's going on here. Yeah, a Zerg dies. A Zerg dies from this. I think that was overlooked. It's not that problematic here, but it's not good. Oh no. Why did I have to discover that? Also, Maris once again puts at least a plant on top of these pods because they're not clear if they're unpathable. Like, realistically speaking, I was thinking, oh, my Reaper can't jump up here. What if I take a medevac and drop a Reaper on top there? Suddenly, I get vision up here, and I can shoot random Zerglings. And annoy a Zerg, who has to bring their Overlord over to kill the Marine. And this is everywhere. It's literally everywhere. Ah. You're gonna drive me insane, Maris. Like, you're good at design, but you're also foolish. Beyond that, everything's fine. These thirds are rather open, but they're given chokes that make them not open, which is good. This expansion is perfectly fine. Might be a bit vulnerable, though. Like, we put a tank up there. Okay, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, the expansion pattern is fine. There's an issue where if a player basically expands, so you'll like expand like this, but if a player expands downwards, like they take these 3 bases, they're going to take that base. Because it's not far and they can hold here. But if they take that base and then eventually take that base up there, and this is theoretically speaking from the Zerg, you can't have this third triangle, which is important for Terran in most cases. So I see Terrans probably taking the forward third as they could use this ledge here to defend it. There's one thing I'm learning from this, and one is that you should check for tank pushes at all times. But 2, its design it teaches me how to design standard maps better. Especially regarding expansions, because in this stance, there's no vertical or horizontal expansion. It's forward or third, which is unique. Which poses the possibility that not all expansions must be vertical or horizontal from the natural. You can, if you want to, have it technically horizontal or vertical and then a forward base. Well, it'll be horizontal then forward, because it technically goes on the vertical axis. I'm not going to check for Liberators, simply because Liberators don't really show their siege circle in the editor, so. Alright, so those are all of those maps, right? Yeah. Alright, so I guess we're going to macro. And I'm going to start with Cloud Monarchy. Sangloon, get ready for me to shit talk you. Alright. Cloud Monarchy. Welcome to Sangloon, whose deco is ass. In cases. It's better. It's not as good as mine, as he is everywhere. You don't need, like, in the stands, you don't need these bricks here. This is better without the bricks. Like, yes, it adds a saying of, oh, there was probably a city here, now it's gone, and these bricks are the eroding stone that paved the streets. Like, yes. But no. You overcluster. Like, here is a very distracting area because there's so many textures in one spot. Even when there's not that many textures. I'm not here to fully shit talk deco. I'm here to learn from it, but... Okay, so natural wallable. Evo. Look, Sangloon. I know you want to pose the possibility to complete a full wall off, but I would just advise making it so the wall just... I mean, yes, it has a gap, but the effectively wall, there's always a gap. But, yeah, this natural's too small. Due to this space here, which, by the way, I'm gonna flipping just... There we go. Is not. It is. If you put a command center here, you have no space unless it's behind a mineral. But you can use up this space here. Fuck off. You can use this space here for a little bit extra space. Like a tank could be planted there. You really do not need these rocks. You actually do no good with them. Like, yes, it's pretty. But you're kind of better having more space. No, you don't. Sorry, Sangloon. But you add more space here, which allows, for example, a Terran, or better case, a Protoss put their tech somewhere. Because most Protosses either put their tech in the main or in the natural. So in the because the natural is not as obvious part where tech would go. For stance, like you'll put your Stargates in the main, but you'll put your Robos in the natural. But if you already make your natural wall, you'll be forced to put your Robos in the main, which is not a problem. But if you add more space behind here, the Terran has more a Terran or Protoss has more options where to place their tech. Supply extra production structures. Another thing, if I remember correctly, you're oversensitive about a Vespene geyser being siegeable. Okay, no you're not. Okay, good. I remember you just kind of going against having a Vespene geyser be able to hit by a single tank. Like 2 Vespene geysers is a problem, but 1 isn't. Another thing, you have 2 Reaper Cliffs. Can you not? Look. A Terran enters through here, die, or leaves through there. Or you just don't have that entrance in general, and you have them enter through a more convenient spot that's faster. I know 2 Reaper free. Oh, no. No, it's 2. I'm not counting what's in the natural. In the natural is natural ledge, and it's normal for Reapers to climb in. I'm not counting that. There's only 2 in the main. That leads into the main. And they're both in inconvenient spots. Well, here is somewhat convenient because just... No, they're both inconvenient. I count those 2 as free. Well then. Oh yeah, I see. I guess there's another one here. There we go. I'll count this, like, even if there's mineral splitting, I would count this soul thing again. But this is just my feedback. You don't need that many Reaper ledges or Reaper cliffs. A Terran needs at least one. 2 or 3 is too much, because you provide no opportunity for a Terran or Protoss to block it off effectively. For instances, if a Protoss wants to put tech, let's say a Stargate, they'll put a pylon against the Reaper cliff, and then they'll use the Stargate to finish the wall off. Here they can't, so a Terran can get in. That's kind of a problem, because basically you prevent the ability to deny information, which makes you easier to just get scouted. Now let's move on to the siege tanks, because I assume there's, yeah. Sangloon, explain. The tank's protected by this Vespene geyser. It's not a far distance, and can join in with a siege. Sangloon, you're told to fix this. You didn't fix it. You made it worse. But good job. Your map's in the finalists. I'll explain why this is bad. If a Terran is clever enough, they can siege in here and here from 2 spots. No, I fixed it on Salt Miner. Yes, the inferior map. Basically, a Terran can send in a small squad here, 2 tanks and some Marines in the medevac, and their main siege force from here. This is not good. Because in the stance, these rocks will be down, but if you're Zerg, in example, this tank would be here, protected by the rock debris. That's too much space that tank has. And it's protected by a debris. This means a Terran can come down from the relatively quickish path to siege the 3rd. And they can come down from middle. And this whole area here is free for them to take. Which means they can push into their natural easily. Because no Terran is going to be foolish enough not to defend this with some units. And they could just tank push up. I noticed this on Nightshade, but it seems like some of the finalists might have allowed tank pushes. Like, yes, we should give Terran some power, but no. Harazer Liberators. And then one of the judges can probably justify against this, but tank pushes are not that fun to go against. If you give a tank push power, and Cyber Forest has this problem, but if you give a tank push power, it can render the defender useless, much like Warp Prisms can render a defender useless because they just become an attacker. Because you can gain so much terrain with spots that favor the tanks. Luckily, this map doesn't... No, it does have Circle Syndrome. God damn it, Sangloon. If a Zerg expands this direction, this is something we all need to learn better from, but they'll take this base. They will. And they will go to this base. Which means they can go to this base. And you see the cycle. So you can effectively expand against it and secure easy areas to defend. There's still Circle Syndrome. But I'm gonna move on to a better map. Eternal Empire. Sorry, Sangloon, but you kind of suck. love these hexes. Alright. No you. Coming from you. Frankly, I just didn't have enough games played, and a few of my maps were met. Not counting my challenge categories. You just got straight up lucky. Anyways, welcome to the Eternal Empire. Super Omen. I know that this is not a problem, but can you at least put some deco further in so the judges, if not judges, observers manage to see up here? They don't see texture. Suddenly going from doodads and something looks like a logical place to straight up textures. Like, yes, this is a wasteland. And this structure of the Eternal Empire is here, but I'm glaring at you. This is a person complaining to someone who got 6 out of 6 finalists, so beyond that. Alright, so let's get the standards down. Luckily, Super Omen provided placements, which Sangloon most profoundly forgot to do, so which means my life is easier, but eh. But they're in the textures do not help physically locate where to place. They're rough and a bit off center. Okay, so this is very much not a third, which is good. Because, oh god, if that was a third, that's gross. Wait, no. That is still gross. If someone takes his space later on, a Terran can plant a ranged Liberator behind here and render a lot of it useless. Ranged Liberator behind here is not a problem because map border's right here. Yeah. Fixed it. No! No! Wait. What if I just do this? Super Omen, please! You and Maris have the same issue. Use pathing fillers. I know you don't want to put that much effort in, but they save lives. Okay, pathing fillers don't help that much on cliff edges when there's pathable zone, but I'm just going to do all that. I'm not going to fix the rest of it. So the standards here, a Terran can defend. Yeah. This is much like Cloud Kingdom, as this is the modern interpretation of Cloud Kingdom. And don't let it go against you. Cloud Monarchy is not really. But these tanks can defend all of these bases, which is great for Terran. And the airspace is done effectively. Super Omen, like the genius he is, doesn't provide cannon rush spots. In both the main and natural. And I will say, a cannon rush in the third and beyond does not matter. Done. But from here, ooh, fancy. But from here, we will expand downwards, take the forward base. Debris will be good here. You expand to this forward base, you'll probably take this base. But you want to take these two bases. But if one person takes this forward base, or what if you take this whole corner and that forward base? Oh god. Okay, so there it is. Right there. It's not a problem, it's just it won't look pretty. Good siege spots and battlegrounds for Terran, which is what we need these days. And everything looks relatively fine. Not a fan of the sand, but yeah. Yeah, everything looks fine. Let's go to Hurricane. The other Superman macro map. So I saw this made in the past, but I'm gonna just... Alright. Alright, so this map is great because it has custom cliffs. Though I would love it if he made it look like there's an ecosystem below, but neither here or there. So this macro map, it runs into an issue already. I should have to explain this, but for newer map makers, this is not much of a problem, but Zerg, like we have King's Cove, which somewhat proves against this, but you don't want to really constantly force a triangle expansion for Zerg. It's not much of a problem, but there's one thing. If a Terran goes drop the third, they can drop the main. And if you go to defend the main, they can drop the third or your natural. If you go to defend your natural or third, they can just keep on rotating around to a point where it becomes difficult to go against it. Now, if they're diamond, of course this is not going to work, but I'm talking about pro level, which is literally the only point where it matters. Because anything below high masters and GM is relatively speaking of you're better A moving, or you're better doing basic mechanics and not trying to act very top of the line, where the balance matters. Because we can't make the balance benefit those not in the highest level. Because if we do that, the highest level will have heavy, and I mean heavy, imbalances. A quick example of this would be the Warp Prism. So in the past, there was, back in Wing of Liberty, the Warp Prism was considered useless. Because for the most part, it would warp in too slow. And there was no real upgrade. No, I think there was an upgrade or not. I don't know. That made it warp in faster. Even on a warp gate. So basically, it was not that ideal to use. As a high level player, this was not much of a problem though, as you'll use it tactically to warp in a few zealots to distract the other player. Then comes, eventually there's buffs to it and whatnot, it's not a whole problem. Then comes the Legacy of the Void, where the Warp Prism has the fastest warp in without a warp gate under it. Meaning, they can send a Warp Prism in late game and summon 20 Zealots into your main, and you can't do anything about it. Your main is lost, and you have to pull all your army back, which is not good. And it requires very minimal skill to use, unless you're going to be microing Immortals, or units in general. Which means on the lower level, you suddenly see people being able to win by straight up warping zealots in the main. Not so bad. And then there's other stuff that comes in, buffs and tweaks and whatnot that happened in Protoss that made it better. When it was not needing many of them. It's like, oh, we need this against Zerg, and it dicks over Terran. This is the stuff that happens when you balance not just for pro level, but slightly below it. Because again, StarCraft 2 was made for esports. It was the first real esport. So, going with that, when you balance everything around the highest level, people complain on the lower level, and you have to make the rash decision of, do you kill the high end, or do you kill the low end? And it's better to kill the low end, as they won't die. They will just try to play like the pro players. But enough with that. So it's not a problem here because there's the bases are relatively connected, which is good. This natural is not siegeable. It has a question. Does it have enough space? It has enough space, yes. This here to help wall, great. I like that, and I mean, there's like some slightish cannon rush spots in the natural, but they're not too problematic. Same with the main. Here, his frags are good. Two big pillars, which are, well, a bit unnecessary, but neither here or there. There we go, I made the map better. On a feedback stance, I'm just gonna do some slight edits. Try that. Maybe even tinting to do that a bit darker. It looks a lot nicer. I mean, yes, units could hide, but it's not, well. Widow mine. Okay, I see why you didn't do it, but just a feedback. Bit of feedback. Alright. So learning from these expansions, this map is very macro focused. Easy to defend bases, easy to take bases. I'm not a fan of that, but okay. That's a strange arm that a Nidus could be put there, and that base is all but lost. Standard frontal expansions, just not a fan of that grass. It's a bit too bright. Can move effectively, and there's no real problem with circle syndrome, because if you expand here, these two bases are too far out for you to logically take. Hands down. Which is good. Because we run into often problems with circle syndrome where people go, oh, we must make sure the other player can expand towards the bottom right hand corner or top left hand corner or whatnot. And so they make these bases like 2 or 3 creep tumors away. That's not how you design corners. And I fall fault to this as well. You want to design them farther away, and also the corner easier to defend. So for say, if this player controls this corner, and let's say you send in an attack it, they only have to defend this ramp. And they can retake the base afterwards. Which is good. And since it's far from this expansion, if they take this expansion and then take this expansion, they can't defend it that easily. They're stretching out. And also means they can't take this expansion, which is great. And learning from that is great information of knowing you don't need to make sure each player can expand to the corner. All you need to make sure is that they can expand to at least 5 other bases beyond their natural. or 4 other. Those are the numbers. And corners can be far enough away that they're not ideal to take, depending on where you are, but they can be held. There we go. Just needed to yawn. Also, this map is sick. I love when we discovered we can do custom terrain, the great age of Deco has began. Anyways, so I have to turn over. We go to Golden Forge. Ligan. Great map. I love seeing this map. Though, alright. Okay. When looking at the minimap, it's hard to distinguish parts of the map, which is fine and not fine. This water's too rough. Okay, this water in general. Okay, what kind of water are we using here? No, it's not Ire Creep. Albion. Not Char. Is it Xeris? I think so. No. Zil, Tarso, Shakur. Oh, it's Shakuris. Yep. If you're going to do spectrology in a scale, do it like this. So, because in editor light reflecting off of the water is not pleasant to look at. It actually hurts sometimes, depending on who you are. And it's easier to, and making the water less rough, you also make it more bearable to look at. Another thing. What the fuck? Okay, I know this is Golden City and using yellow textures. I'm just going to use that texture. But you need to use a dedicated texture to show what area is unpathable on natural or man-made. Because I'm right now just painting this because it is relative. Also, I know you're a new mapmaker, but keep the main a darker shade of the midground or a lighter shade. So in this dance, you want this main to be more brown. Because even if it's a Golden Forge, you need a different color in the main besides the texture. Because sometimes people look at the minimap and these textures are identical. If it weren't for the cliff outline, they would think they're on the same level. Which is neither here or there. You also could tint these colors a bit more yellow, but you're newer, so I'm not going to blame you. This is, okay. It's relatively fine. These are what I'm just nitpicking against. But let's actually learn something and I can spread some knowledge I know on this. So this was a macro map submitted to the standard category because as far as I can assume he thought it was standard. I thought it was standard, so neither here or there. These are too big. They look good, cool, but yeah. You want them this big. You want them to act like a placement marker and not be too distracting. Also, with this, you don't see the awkward beneath of the hatchery, and you can see more creep. This looks cool, but no. Like, it looks cool, and that's really it. Beyond that, if I could not step on plastic, that is misleading. That is very misleading. It looks like small units can go down here. I very much know well they cannot, especially when I'm hitting V to show that. But it's very misleading. Like, maybe put up like some force field doors and maybe put a small force field in between to make it look like units can't walk there. And obviously units can't path there because common sense would say otherwise. Put doodads behind here, please. Like, we're going to learn something here. The reason why you would want to put some doodads behind this is because, logically speaking, a Zergling would be able to walk past there. Same with here. This pathing is a bit too far out and could be brought a bit in. But it's not that bad. This is actually a solid map, and I applaud for it. Also, the use of pathing cliff fillers. You did something useful. I was about to say useless. Gonna open up this. Okay, there's no dangerous can rush spots, but there is this. I'm not gonna point them out because the music already did. This natural shape is a bit clunky, but you can wall. Thirds are relatively close. Expansions. Okay. And yeah, this area out here is very choked, so circle syndrome is not a problem. This Zelnog tower seems out of place. It's just sitting there. Like, the testers don't even surround it or anything. It's just sitting there in the open. So, but, Design is good. There's nothing much to learn from this. This is just straight up good standard design. But I'm going to say this, Legion, if you're watching this, because this is, I changed this from let's learn to learn and feedback. I'm pointing out some stuff newer map makers can learn and myself could learn from. But I'm also providing feedback and shit-talking Sangloon. Because I have to shit-talk Sangloon. Me and him are basically rivals. But I'm pointing out feedback and shit-talking Sangloon just for the better. Anyways, my music went out. I just noticed that. But beyond that, I did all standard maps, right? Yeah. So, wait, so, okay, yeah, he submitted to, okay, good. So, I guess we're going to challenge one, and let's start with Avant-Garde. Grade. How do you pronounce that? Okay. That looks like a ramp. Okay. You don't need no building there. I don't know why you put no building there, but you don't need no building there. This fence is quirky and not so pleasant to look at. I love this. I love this so much. I did this on Cybersphere, even though I went way overkill of Cybersphere. But I love the idea of having a standard nat choke, but you can expand it later on so your armies can get out faster. This is also cool. I'm gonna check from this. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Learning from this, someone, let me guess, use pathing fill cliff? Yep. That is out of place. That is very out of place. There's no walls connecting to it. It's just glass, and is no sign of a common structure. It's just there. Now that's not bad, but you're using air blockers. Like, I know, they're probably there to protect against liberators, because I know the map border. Knowing you, I'm going to check the map. Yeah, so the map border is not far out. Yeah, there's a hefty liberator spot, but you have enough space to counter that. You maybe could add a little more, but you put airspace. It's not much of a problem because it's not in a populated area. But these glass walls do not fit at all. But let's move beyond that. So we got standard expansion. Zergs are forced to go triangle way, and you span to the top right hand / bottom left hand corner. The expansions are rather fine, with given chokes are good. Middle with the mineral wall usage is just very mediocre, which is good. Simple is sometimes better. And you can actually properly defend, which is good. You could also send a little sneak attack up there. Okay. Yeah. There's not much to learn from this. Just for challenge categories, you don't need to go overkill. Do not pull the cyber spear. You can look at the TLMC13 submission thread and look at cyber spear, and you'll see I put over 50 mineral nodes to make mineral walls. Yeah, about 50. So that's overkill. Golden wall. It's all one color. I know why he did this. He's following a theme. He wants a bluish purple area, but with a golden wall going in between. This is a cool golden wall as well. I love this map's design. And I'll explain. So basically you span towards the top right hand corner. There's given chokes so you can defend. Debris here so you can defend. Good. But then there's the semi-island here that you can access from behind the main cliff. Going down from there, you can open up the gold walls so you can move out and whatnot. But you can also secure 2 more expansions and also some hefty rich minerals. Sweet, sweet, hefty, rich minerals. But you leave yourself vulnerable. Because from here, if the other player do this, you have 2 entrances you have to deal with. And this one's larger than the first entrance, which means you have to defend here easier. But it's not much of a massive problem. Right away, if you look at the minimap, which not many map makers do, you'll see Superman did something great. Each level has a different color, somewhat. The main is mostly gray. The mid ground is mostly pink-ish, purple.
white-ish white. The low ground is mostly gray as well. In this, and that's fine because they're separated so you know they're different levels. And the main is very much a more rough gray. And this shows a better use of mineral walls as well. And we're going to go to a map, my favorite mineral wall map, that's in the finalists. Pretty great use. And it's designed from once on turtle symmetry. That's what me and Sanglone refers to symmetry like this as. It's solid. Anyways, let's go to Zen. Now, Super Omen kicked this map out of the park. I'll say that proudly. That goes impeccable. I actually want to look at it. Ah, that's how you did that. Cool. But welcome to Zen. This beautiful place and also home of this second map with completely custom cliff terrain. You got this beautiful creation. Completely love it and whatnot. Now, the first niche I have is that the main and middle ground almost look identical. They're just different enough for it to work. But looking at it, it's like... Oh. What? Oh no. Oh no. So he left slight paths around so you can scout. But if a Zergling rush is coming and you don't scout that, they can squeeze behind your nat wall. I'm going to leave that Marine down to label that, but it's fine. It's just scary. Ah, the nice potted plant. Love that. But going around, so you expand vertically. And you'll basically expand all the way up here. And once you'll basically expand to here, you won't expand to this expansion, but this player can also expand there. Solid map, and also S. Super Omen and his S's. Like, I know they lead to great design, but... Okay. Okay, so with that... Yeah, this map is just... In the future, every time a mineral wall map is mentioned, or it's just a general solid map, I'm going to recommend Zen and Catalyst and Neoswell as maps to learn from. Just because they're solid. I will also recommend other TLMC13 finalists, probably. Mostly Super Omen and Maris finalists. Maybe -01. Because they're generally good. But... I think we should just move on to the final category. It's been how long since I started streaming? 1 hour and 24 minutes. Good enough. Alright. So the next one we have... Oh no, we have also podcast. I forgot about podcast. Yeah, it's not a memorable map. You goddamn... Cool. Okay. I don't like the flashing. Pretty map. Not a fan of all the... Ooh, I really like this. What textures make up that? Curse City. Yeah. I think that's modified in this. Train textures. Uland dirt was modified. Yeah, I see that. Man, that looks really good. I feel like this would be a point where you just do like those. Yeah, there's something I want to try that I've seen in the past, which looked really cool, but I'm not gonna say it because I want to experiment with first. So podcast is a interesting map. Like this is standard. Timmy, why did? Okay. Just not gonna snitch on him. He probably won't see this, but standard is a solid map, and the mineral wall uses consist of a super hyper rich Vespine base, a super rich Vespine base with minerals, not a super hyper rich base because that'll involve gold minerals, but as a mineral wall, which is good. And these mineral walls that are also just protecting the third. Solid execution. This is it's a mediocre. It's not that interesting, honestly. Just chill, and I like chill. But I don't have much words on it. Which is completely why I forgot about it. Alright, so we got 3 last finalist maps. So I'm just going to go to Beavis. Because I sure know because all my words about this map is basically the same thing Avet said. So we're actually going to learn from this. So this map provides options for surds. A bit too many of these pods. You don't need these everywhere. Like this one here is unnecessary, but options for you to span, passages constantly. He did something interesting where he just has minerals and no Vespine here, even though personally I would remove those minerals. And his ICG usage originally was hell in middle, but he changed it to a little bit here, and these spaces are inconvenient to attack and take because slowdowns. Also, it's fucking gray. But learning from this map, you could take any feature into simplistic form, ignoring the corners. Those corners are funny and they're good. You don't need to use ICGs everywhere. You can literally use them in middle to make an inconvenient passage. That's it. Because if you want people to fight elsewhere, that's a good way to do it, but people won't like that. Turbo Cruise is an example of this where Super Omen and TLMC 12 physically shoved them in your face and spammed them effectively to a point where the map was terrible and Korean players were begging not to play it. And then Blizzard put it on the ladder anyways because they love seeing people suffer. One thing not to learn from this map. Put doodads here. If I'm a normal player and this is on the ladder, I'll tell you what I'll think. I think I could put a fucking siege tank up here. Spoiler alert, I can't. That's not exactly a problem, but it's not a good thing either. Now, okay. Purity Industry. Already starts off beautiful, which I like. I don't like that. The pillar here is Terran. Oh, okay, never mind. I didn't know they had a pillar down there. I was gonna say, like, that pillar is there is Terran. It's not the same. No, it is. Alright, so looking around this map, this is a great map because basically, ignoring these ICGs, it is a very solid standard map with sweet bridges. Creep engulfs this bridge, by the way, because there is invisible platforms on it. But design, it goes as stated. You span towards down here. You would fight over this location, and if you're stealthy, you can also take you can also take this location. The shapes are the same on both sides with different deco. This is a standstill on this map where you don't do the deco for both sides at once, except for the natural part. The mechanical, the like Protoss, well, the Purifier and Terran part, you do it separately, which is great. This island is amazing, and the reason why I love this map is its usage of IZG. The ICGs in this usage are anti-air. They're only used on air units to make it so the inconvenience of basically without this is very quick and not good. But since it's used like this, it's great because it slows you down. But there's a passage that leads across here that is not slowed, which you can use to attack. And they warn you about this, by the way. He put markers here for a reason. This would be where you put your missile turrets. Okay, not so perfect, but depends. But that would be where you put your missile turrets to defend against ongoing drops. Like, you only need 3 and it's exactly there. And I love that. And then he also put markers there to warn of incoming attacks from here. And what's this? He also squished a Dominion glass wall, which is unique. Personally, if he did this, I would have put in like I would have taken like a hollow pad. You know those pads? Yeah, like one of these, basically. And do something like that. Just small particles to make it look like it's flying. And not just magically floating. So it makes it look a lot more reliable. And also, well, you don't do it on the Terran part, obviously, because symmetry's on, but you basically do it so these pods look like they're flying, and there's exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. There's 7 purifier, which is not so great. Honestly, I would remove this one, but then that would make this faster. So, don't know. Mystery. Maybe move this up here, taking up this space, and add another one in here. But generally, this is what you could do with close by air maps. Instead of straight up having ICGs on the terrain, why not use them to slow down air units only? Also, there's lava over here, just to say. You know, just a thing. And now we're on to the last map. Polaris. I personally decorated this map. I was asked to, and I gladly agreed to doing it. Simply because I love decorating. Just need to, the reason why I put that pad there is so creep actually works. Realistically, the hash creep would appear on the platforms, but it won't. So I decorated this map myself, and I'm a big fan of it. Basically, the reason why I'm a fan of it is that The ICGs are used like this. They allow you to micro small units around them, and they don't touch a cliff. Instead, they just provide, you know, a zone. This map might favor Terran, though, because of this. For example, a siege from here, the Terran can use the zone for power. Now, the main feature of this map, deco-wise, is here. I did custom terrain. That's what it looks like otherwise. It was a lot of God-forsaken effort to make that look good. But we got it. I also did over here. I spammed a lot of ice to make it look like it's freezing over. And I generally just kept to it. And also spammed a lot of crates, because crates are life. Killer Smile did this part though, because he thought it would look good, and I agree with it. But basically this map, this is another great example of uses of ICGs. Something I should learn from. You don't need, the ICGs can be used like this. To make an area inconvenient. To slow down only air units, which is also good. Which was done on Winter's Gate in TLMC13 along with slowing units on the ground. And also, along with that, making central attack pods different. Instead of just a standard, oh yeah, just 4 ramps leading onto a high ground. It's 4 ramps leading onto a high ground with an ICG that takes up a bit of the central part of it. So it's already different. Which means you're up for an interesting engagement. And with that, along as well, the ICGs are only in the middle part of the map. So you can completely avoid them if you want to. With multiple paths that are great for design. This is a strong point for anyone who struggles with challenges where you go, yeah, I see how some do it. And this is rather brilliant design. It's interesting and unique and it's well liked. But my tavern music just freaking gave up. Well done. But it seems like I'm done here. So, that took a rough turn. And it's probably a lot of me rambling and whatnot, but nonetheless, it's been an hour and 40 minutes of me talking about these maps. I'm going to personally go do World of Warcraft stuff now. So, for those on YouTube watching this, and probably the finalists themselves, this is my feedback. You can take this with a grain of salt, but this is coming from a person who stays actively with the scene, so I try to make sure I know as much as I can. Some stuff there is errors in my words, but I'm speaking for newer map makers generally who probably want to learn off of something, for maps they should look at, what they should look for, and whatnot. And also it helps easier for people to recognize what questions they should ask as a direct approach, as they could probably spend some time in the editor messing around with positioning of units and testing and whatnot to see why stuff doesn't work. But anyways, my name is PK Elysian.